Hi there friends, and welcome back to Soul Valley. Today, I have a confession to make. I'm having builder's block, which is kind of like writer's block, except with building instead of writing. And I have a rough idea of kind of what I would like to build next, but I haven't really fleshed out the fine details in terms of the buildings, the layouts, the block palette, and I'm having trouble kind of channeling that creativity, but I still wanted to be productive. So I thought of something that I'm going to do today to keep productive, and let's see if you could take a guess what it is that I'm going to do. So I've got my brewing stand here. As you can see, I've brewed up some awkward potions. I need to brew a few more actually. And those are actually my very first time ever brewing in this world. Look at that. Local brewery, brew a potion. You can see that I've got some golden carrots, some fermented spider eyes, and some redstone. So go ahead and take a guess. What do you think I plan to do today? I've got 3 potions of night vision and 3 potions of invisibility. I'm crafting up some TNT. If you haven't already figured it out, I'm going to an ocean monument today. The potions of night vision and invisibility will allow me to sneak around the ocean monument without being seen by the guardians, and the TNT is how I'm going to blast my way in since I will have mining fatigue. I'm also going to go grab some buckets of milk from cows so that once I slay the elder guardians, I will be able to safely break things within the ocean monument. I don't think that I'm going to actually create any farms or anything like that just yet. I just want to have an ocean monument available to me that I've slayed the Elder Guardians. That way I can start building with Prismarine, and then when the time comes that I want to drain it and build a Guardian farm, I'll be able to. I'm just going to start heading north because I know that direction there is an ocean, and I don't know the exact coordinates of an ocean monument, but I know that if I can get to an ocean that I'll be able to find one. And I'm also bringing obsidian with me. That way, when I do find an ocean monument, I can build a portal there so that I can get there much easier in the future. I made it to the ocean right at sunset. I've got my horse hitched up, and it's time to embark on the ocean journey to look for an ocean monument. Alright, that didn't take too long at all. It's not even sunrise of the next morning yet, and I've already found myself an ocean monument. So let me go ahead and take off all my armor. Let me equip everything that I'm going to need. Let me take a potion of night vision. And let me take a potion of invisibility. And it is time to go blow a hole through this ocean monument. And if you've never seen this method before, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use TNT to open this up. You have to put sand on top of it because the sand, I need to get away. The sand will make sure that the TNT actually blows up the holes. And I need to get to the surface. TNT doesn't normally actually do any damage underwater, but if you have it within sand, then it will. Alright, and then there's usually one guardian in this wing, and one guardian in this wing, which I actually can kind of see his tail or thorn sticking out from right there, so that is going to be where I enter this side. Go ahead and put that right there, put that on top, and blow a hole. Alright, and now I've got access to that Elder Guardian. And now let's make our way over here and do the same thing. Alright, so now I have access to all of the Elder Guardians. The other thing that I brought with me was a bunch of bamboo doors, and what those will allow me to do is, when I am down in here, I can put some doors down, and they will give me a safe place to catch my breath. It's almost too easy when you have invisibility. It's not even fair. Poor guy's just minding his own business, and the next thing he knows, he's dying. Alright, there's one down. Oh, and he dropped a sponge. That is some beautiful luck. I'm hoping that one of them will drop a pufferfish because I can use the pufferfish to craft some potions of underwater breathing. Oh, there he is. That's 2 down and another sponge. Alright, and now time for the third one. Alright, and that is 3 Elder Guardians down. I'm gonna go ahead and drink my milk bucket to get rid of the mining fatigue. I forgot that that would also get rid of my night vision and invisibility. That's bad news. I did a dumb thing. I did a dumb thing. I did a very dumb thing. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh man, that was very dumb. I almost died. Give me back my invisibility. Alright, well that was a fun lesson learned. I forgot that the milk bucket gets rid of all the effects, and that included invisibility, which allowed the Guardians to see me, and I almost died because of it. Oops. Alright, and I am going to build a nether portal in this room. Alright, and now water can't get in here, so I can light it. And now I've got another portal in my ocean monument. And the reason that is beneficial is because I completely forgot to bring any sort of furnace in order to dry these wet sponges. But what I can do is go to the nether, and all I have to do is place them down, and they are instantly dried. That is pretty convenient. And so now I've cleared all the water and got some of the blocks from the top row, and I realized that I didn't bring any chests with me, so that as I make my way through this ocean monument, I don't really have any way to clear out inventory space to make room for more. So I'm gonna go through the nether. Let me double check. Yeah. So I'm going to go through the nether and see if I can find my way back to my overworld portal. My overworld portal is roughly coordinates 200 by 517, so we're not far at all. And I think this is actually the warped forest that I usually come to for resources. So let's see if I make my way upward, if I can find my way back to my base. So this is the trail of torches I had previously laid out to get me to the bastion and the nether fortress. So that leads right back to my base, and then right along the way, down there is my nether portal to get me to the ocean monument. Alright, we find ourselves back at the ocean monument. This time I'm much more well equipped. I've got some scaffolding with me so that I can easily go up and down levels even after I drain water. I've got plenty of doors, and then I brought coal, furnaces, and chests. So I'm going to kind of make this top floor here kind of my base of operations. I'm going to put some storage here. That way as my inventory fills up, I can run up here and drop things off. And I am going to kind of get started exploring the lower levels and see what all's down there. And so I went ahead and drained this area directly below where the portal is. I've got doors set up kind of separating me from the areas that have not yet been drained. And in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and mine this area into a more open room, get myself some sea lanterns, and I've got the scaffolding with me so that I can easily get back up to the top when I need to. But I would say my, oh, didn't mean to open that up. Typically, as I explore an ocean monument, I like to bring lots of doors with me and lots of scaffolding. The scaffolding so that I can easily get back up to higher levels, and the doors allow me to separate rooms, and it gives me easy opportunity to run away from any guardians. And this is my approach. I just do this room by room, and I like to go level by level. So before I move down a level, I like to try to clear this entire level if I can. And then what I like to do, once I've cleared out a room of all the water, I like to open up the walls, because the goal, at least my goal, is to try to open up the interior as much as possible rather than have a bunch of segmented rooms. I like to try to have just one singular connected ocean monument. What do we have over here? Well, that was unintentional. I was just trying to open up this wall to connect more rooms, and then what do you know, I found myself some sponges. But to make my life easier, I'm going to dry out the sponges I have, because I don't want to try to fight against the water currents to get those sponges. Alright, well this is going to make my life so much easier. Now I can just pop in here, if I can even make it. Oh, hey, you get out of here. Let's grab a few sponges. I'm gonna take that for now, run and dry these out, and then come back. So this just made my life significantly easier because I just found a whole bunch of sponges just in the process of trying to open up this space in here. And now, as I make my way through more of the ocean monument, hey, you stop that. I will have way more sponges available to me. And things are coming along pretty nicely. I've got this area pretty well cleared out, so... oh, I missed one over here. And I've got myself a total of 30 sponges, so this has worked out pretty well. And now it's time to move on down to the next level. These guardians are beating me up. They've destroyed my helmet and my boots, which, granted, those were already pretty close to breaking already, but luckily I've got those with me. But I don't even have a crafting table on me, and I am now all out of food, so, well, I guess I've got this. But either way, I'm all out of food, so I need to run back home very quickly, grab myself some food, and then I can come back and continue. But I just wanted to kind of show off what I've accomplished so far. If I step down here, I have cleared out 2 sections so far of this area. I have not gone into here. It looks like there's the treasure room, so I haven't yet done anything in the treasure room. There are a couple other little offshoots this direction that I still need to drain, but I managed to find myself a second sponge room, so now I'm up to 59 sponges, which is pretty nice. And I've killed a handful of guardians. They've beaten me up real good, but I'm gonna run back home and grab some food and then come back and continue. And now I've got plenty of food, and I went ahead and moved the portal up so that it's kind of on the same level as this main path. Previously, it was all the way down there, so I had to run down this side of this little cliff here. But now, it's right along the main path that I already had that connects over to the Nether Fortress. So as I'm running by, if I want to pop in the ocean monument, I just go through here, and it connects right up to the portal that already exists. And if we head down, I've cleared quite a bit. At this point, I don't know that there's much left to really talk about and really narrate as I do this. I think I'm just going to kind of run through and gut this out, drain it, and I'll check back in once I'm done. Alright, I've got a pretty significant amount of resources here. Plenty of prismarine bricks, prismarine and dark prismarine, and I also got over a full stack of sponges. This was a very generous ocean monument with 3 sponge rooms. I feel like it's rare to even see 2 sponge rooms, so to see 3, I was pretty excited about that, and I'm pretty much at a point where my diamond hoe is almost broken and I don't want it to break, and then my efficiency 5 unbreaking pickaxe is getting pretty close to broken. I don't want it to break. So one last thing I want to do, I found the treasure room right here. I'm going to take off all my armor and then take an invisibility potion, take a potion of night vision, and then I'm going to run through and just sponge this room up to get rid of all of the water and claim the treasure in the treasure room. I have drained the treasure room and got my 8 gold blocks here, plus all the dark prismarine, and I used almost all of my sponges in the process. I've got 3 left after that, and I don't have my hoe available at the moment because it is just about to break, so I will wait till later after I've repaired my hoe to come back and get all my sponges, but since I've cleared all the water, that'll make it pretty easy. But for now, I'm pretty satisfied with my trip to this ocean monument. I got lots of the ocean monument resources that I came for, plus it gave me time to think about what I want to do with my next build, and I think I have an idea. So with that being said, I think it's time for me to head on back to my base and kind of get things started with the build. And I have returned home. I made sure to run back up north to the ocean where my horse was hitched and brought him back home just so that he's not left abandoned at the ocean. But it is now time to talk about what my next project is going to be. I spent some time at the Ocean Monument trying to stay productive and got those creative juices flowing, and I finally know what I want to do next, and that is I am going to build a recycling center, because what is more Solarpunk than recycling? And I like the idea of a recycling center because I can incorporate a variety of different farms, and I think that there's ways that I could incorporate kind of different automated farms and tie them in with the concept of recycling in a way that fits the lore and looks really cool. And instead of doing one single building, I'm gonna have kind of a almost like a compound, where there's going to be multiple buildings kind of spaced out, and I think I'm going to do this area over here, but then I'm also going to do this area over here, and that way I can incorporate multiple different buildings, and they'll serve different purposes, but they'll all kind of tie in to the concept of recycling in one way or another. And I don't want to spoil all the ideas I have in mind. This is probably going to be multiple episodes long. This is not going to be just one single episode. And with each episode, I'll kind of expand upon the recycling center. And yeah, I don't want to spoil all the things that are in store. You'll just have to watch and find out. But the first thing that I need to do here is start with the terraform. So I need to clear out this ruined nether portal, get rid of some of these trees, and then just make the terrain a little more accommodating for some builds. So I think that is going to be the first thing I do, is hop into a little time lapse here and do a terraform. We're back, and the terraform is mostly done, and it looks kind of eerie with that the shadow of the tree creeping down behind me. That was a fun little terraform, mainly because I was in a work call while I did the terraform, and I do have a job where I kind of have hybrid work from home some days, and on the days that I work from home, I am pretty busy. I don't typically play Minecraft while I'm working from home, but for this particular meeting, I didn't really have to contribute. It was more just listening to other people talk, and I will say that I am someone who has a bad habit of just spending way too much time on my phone and can be very easily distracted by my phone, and a lot of times when I'm in these work meetings, if I'm not actively contributing to the meeting, I can get easily distracted by like, oh, I'm just gonna check Reddit or check Instagram real quick, and the next thing I know, I missed like 10 minutes of the meeting because I was looking at my phone. But I found that while I was doing this terraform, it worked out really well because it was just mindless enough that, you know, as I went through the terraform, I was still able to listen to the meeting, and I think I listened to the meeting more productively while playing Minecraft than I ever have while just, you know, sitting there not playing Minecraft. I feel like I absorbed more information, and I feel like I need to pitch this idea to my boss, like, hey, maybe you should let me play Minecraft during every meeting I'm in. I'm sure that would go over really well. Over here, I'm not fully finished with this area. You know, it doesn't look the greatest right there. My main concern initially was just covering up the giant cave so that I don't fall into a cave down below, and kind of creating some flat terrain that I'll be able to build on. But I think for this episode, the first build that I'm going to do is going to be right here, and I think I'm going to build kind of like the front office of the recycling center. So, you know, in theory, if this was a fully functioning recycling center, this is where someone would go if they were, you know, walking in and needed to talk to customer service or talk to someone at administrative or whatever, because I'm sure that that's so frequent that people need customer service at the recycling center. But that'll be kind of what this area is kind of like the welcome center, customer service, administrative offices, things like that. And then over here on the other side of this little hill here is where the actual recycling, you know, processes are going to be, where I'm going to build the farms, things like that. And while we're on that topic of potential automated farms, I have a question I would like to pose to everyone watching right now. So if you are watching, if you can hear this right now, I would love your input on something. I would like to know how people feel about using TNT duping for various automation farms. You know how sometimes people will do it for, like automating like tree farms and things like that. I feel like this can be a divisive topic, and for a long time I was anti TNT duping, just because in general I would say I'm a pretty anti duping kind of person. But I feel like people have brought up a very good point that the TNT duping method has been in the game for a very long time. The developers are very aware of it, and they still have chosen to keep it in the game. So at this point, the question is it a bug or is it a feature? Is it what the developers intended? And I don't know if there's a clear answer to that. Historically, I typically would not do TNT duping, but I'm wondering if maybe I'm just an old man yelling at the sky and it's time to get with the times, and should I do some TNT duping? I still don't know what farms I'm going to be incorporating into the recycling center, but I just want to know how people feel if I were to add TNT duping. Do people consider that cheating, or is that just using a game mechanic that's meant to be used? So please leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts, and it will likely affect my my decisions on what I do with the recycling center. But now it's time to get started with some resource gathering and get everything together that I'm going to need to build this little front office area for the recycling center. And as part of this resource gathering, I'm actually going to make a trip to the Pale Forest that I discovered all the way back in episode 1, which is kind of southeast, which is the direction behind me, kind of if I pass over the mountains right back there. The coordinates are roughly like 4,000 by -350, so it is quite a journey. But now that I've finally started traveling through the Nether, I'm just going to bring some obsidian with me, and I'm going to open up a portal when I get there. That way in the future I can easily make it back to the Pale Gardens when it's time to go. I decided to set out on foot because I'll be traveling home through the Nether, and I just don't want to deal with trying to navigate a horse through the Nether. And I'm trying something new with the replay footage, where I'm just doing this one single continuous shot, kind of zoomed out high above as I make my way to the Pale Garden. I think this turned out pretty cool, except that I can be kind of hard to see down there because I'm so far zoomed out, but if you look closely you could see a little tiny speck as I run across the lands. And while I was up on a mountain, I actually ended up noticing a tiny little Pale Garden that was much closer than the one that I initially planned to go to, which works out great, so I decided to pop in there and create a little Nether portal. At that point, I hopped into the Nether, and it turned out to be extremely close to my Nether base. It only took me a total of about 3 minutes to make it from the Pale Gardens Nether portal to my home base Nether portal, and so now I have easy access to the Pale Gardens whenever I need to run to it. I also decided to gather resources from the Pale Garden. The only thing I really needed, and the reason I came here in the first place, was just to get some pale hanging moss, but I figure while I'm here, I might as well break down some trees in the hopes of finding a creaking heart. I didn't find one, but I can come back later and get one at nighttime when they're easier to find when the creaking spawn, but for now, I got my pale hanging moss, so I'm happy with that. At this point, I still needed some more resources, so I hiked up the nearby mountain where I was able to gather a whole bunch of snow blocks, and then I traveled out to the savannah where I got a bunch of acacia wood, and then I traveled through the Nether all the way out to the Badlands where I got a bunch of terracotta that I'm going to be using to make some glazed terracotta. Once I got back to my base, I got some light blue dye and turned all of that terracotta into light blue terracotta, and then I put them in the smelter and turned them into glazed light blue terracotta. And now, all that's left is to bring all the resources from my base to the build site, and bundles were a very useful item for this moving process. I did start by building this upcoming build in a creative test world, and I'm using Lightmatica for the material list, and I will also use it to render the schematic into the world when it's time to start the build. Alright, and there we have it. I've got these chests filled up with all of the resources that I'm going to be using to build this front office for the recycling center. I've also got some torch flowers growing over here because I want to put some torch flowers in the landscape and I didn't have any left. And then up here, I've been running around and shearing these sheep every time there's an opportunity to, because I'm also going to need some blue wool, and I've just kind of been recycling the same 4 sheep, just dyeing their wool every time I need a different color. So in the last episode they were cyan, and in this episode they're blue, and I'm up to 28 blue wool. I only need like I think 50 total maybe, so I'm almost there. But with that being said, I think it's about time to get started with this build. And there we have it. The recycling center front office is almost complete. There's still one more thing I want to do that I want to do on camera, but before I jump into that, I figured I'd talk about, I decided to use the flashback mod instead of the replay mod to record this montage of building this, which for this entire series up to this point I've always used the replay mod, but I decided I wanted to try the flashback mod because I've heard that it can create a lot more like cinematic shots and has a lot more options. It's a little more complicated to use. There's a little bit of a learning curve. I have not yet actually edited the flashback footage, so we'll see how much of a challenge that is, but I'm excited to try that out, and hopefully I can get good with that and start making some more cinematic type shots that I think will be really fun. And I don't know if anyone noticed this in the flashback, but I did fall and die at one point, so future editor Bean Burrito, show a replay of that while I talk. But yeah, I just wasn't paying close enough attention, slipped off the edge, and fell to my death, so that's why I only have 7 levels left. Pretty embarrassing death to just fall while building, but I had a lot of fun building this. And now the other thing that I want to do on camera is do some banner work. So I'm going to be making some letters to start, and I'm just following the letter guide that's on gamergeeks.net. So the first one I'm going to make is the letter R. So I need to do this. And then I want a stripe down the center. I want the left stripe. Yes. And then I want that. And then I want that. And then last is I want to put that. So that is an R, and if you haven't figured out why I want an R, it's because right across here I'm going to spell out recycle. So now I just need to make all the other letters really quick. Okay, so I've got the R, E, C, Y, and now I've got the L, and I'll just duplicate the ones where I need, 2 E's, 2 C's. There's one other banner that I want to do. All right, and I just made a mistake on this one, so I'm going to try again. So we start with a green banner, we do this design, then we do this design. We want green. There we go. And so this, let me actually place it down in the world so you can see it. This is my attempt at kind of the recycling logo. So you know how it's just the 3 arrows kind of going in a triangle. And I did not come up with this design. I actually found it on the website Planet Minecraft. A user named Foodie Rice uploaded this to Planet Minecraft. So I just want to give credit to that person because I did not come up with this. But now all I need to do is make duplicates of the letters that I need duplicates, and then get rid of this, whatever this is. That was just a mistake. And then I want to create some more that I'm going to use as just kind of, well, you'll find out. I'm going to put them inside and I'll explain that. But let me make copies of these, get these posted up, and then I'll continue from there. All right, the banners are done, and we also have a wandering trader that just appeared, and I wonder if he has anything good. Efficiency. Nope, not really. I used to care a lot more about the leads, but now that you could craft leads, I'm just gonna leave them be. So let us go ahead and hang these banners. Let's see, there's that, L, and E. Let's go take a look from a distance and see how it looks. Recycle. Beautiful. And then the other banners that I have here So we're about to take our first glimpse inside the building. And here we are. And before I show it off, what I want to do over here is put down a bunch of banners that are going to kind of meant to be like informational banners. And you may notice that we have a villager here. This is Melvin the Minder. It is because, oh, and I accidentally hit Melvin a little bit ago when I was trying to get around him. I accidentally hit him, so he's a little mad at me at the moment. But when he's not mad at me, he sells mending books for 16 emeralds. So let's kind of hop into the lore of this recycling office. In the land of Soul Valley, recycling is a huge deal. Everyone in Soul Valley takes recycling very seriously, and for the Greenbrier family, recycling is a family business. The Greenbrier family has been running the recycling compound for generations, and it's something they take immense pride in. It's not just a job, it's a family business, it's a livelihood, it's a legacy. And in here, we've got Melvin, great-great-grandson of the original Greenbrier family, and Melvin mans the front office. The Greenbriers have always been very passionate about environmental sustainability, and that's what led them into recycling. They care about the environment, and they don't want things to just be tossed in a landfill and pollute the earth, so they do their best to recycle absolutely anything they can in a way that helps the environment. That's also why they put a lot of effort into making their building so scenic. They've got a lot of greenery growing around it. Out front here, they've got this nice little lake. They've got a little bench here, and I actually saw this bench in a Shrammy video, so I stole that from him. They've got this little pond out here just as a nice little scenic spot. Over here, we've got the recycling bins where people can come and drop things off. And then if we go inside here, there are more recycling bins here that are labeled. I just kind of picked items that I thought seemed like they could be recyclable. So we've got an iron ingot, glass, bamboo, paper, stone pickaxe, and mud bricks. I know, at least in the real world, some of those things maybe aren't entirely recyclable, but in the land of Soul Valley, they can recycle it. And they don't want this to just be a place where you just walk in, bring your stuff, and leave. This is a place that Soul Valley takes great pride in. So over here, this is kind of their information center. So just imagine that this is kind of text here at the bottom. It's kind of hard to create real text with the banners, but it looks like kind of like pictures up at the top, text down here. We've got the recycling logo. We've got the banner with the little flower on it. And so this is where, you know, if a school were to bring their kids on a field trip, they could come in here and learn about recycling. You could imagine maybe these signs are talking about what happens when you recycle, what do we use it for, what can be recycled, what can't be, etc. And then this is that banner that I made by mistake. I just figured I'd toss it in here. And again, because they care so much about the ecosystem and the environment, lots of plants, lots of flowers. And then we've got this little spiral staircase going right up the middle here. And if we follow it up, this is where Melvin comes to sleep at night. He's got his little desk over here where he'll overlook what will soon be the recycling compound once I expand it out that direction. Oh, and I just realized I don't have my borderless glass resource pack on. There we go. Much better. So he'll be able to look out over the compound and see how the recycling compound is looking from above. Over here, we just got, I thought the cartography table next to the lectern looked like a nice little station where he could post up. And then I've got some waterlogged pale oak stairs so that I could put some coral. Got some more over here. Let's take a step outside and investigate what's going on out here. I'm going to hop into free cam. So part of their passion for being eco-friendly is they've got a solar panel here. This was on the original building. When they very first built it, they had a solar panel, but as time went on, as the recycling compound grew, they realized they were going to need more power. So this is meant to be a helical wind turbine. So I'm sure many of you have probably seen the traditional wind turbine that almost looks like a fan where it's just got the 3 blades on a pole that spin in a circle. The way that this works is as the wind blows, it spins around from this little pillar right in the middle. And obviously in Minecraft this isn't going to actually move, but in the real world that's the idea. And this is capable of creating a significant amount of power as the wind spins this turbine. And this was actually inspired by a video that one of my friends, Eligrieve, aka Rod, posted on his channel with a whole bunch of really cool Solarpunk builds. I'll be sure and add a link to that because he is very talented as well, and I kind of took this idea from him. Looking at this view, I kind of liked the way that this bedroom up here kind of has like a slanted roof. I've got lots of stuff overgrowing here. We've got a green roof with lots of leaves and grass, things like that. And around the outside, I just kind of added small little, decorative touches, things that are just kind of meant to look kind of like tech type things. I don't know what they would be. If you want to think maybe it's an AC or a circuit box, or I have no idea, but just something to look kind of techy. But yeah, so this is the outside of the building. We've already gone on a tour of the inside, and I think that this turned out really good. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and as I start to expand the recycling compound this way, I think it's all going to tie together really nicely. And now to talk about Melvin. As I mentioned, he trades mending books for 16 emeralds under normal circumstances when he's not mad at me for accidentally hitting him. I've already bought 3 mending books just to lock in the trade, and I can apply those to some of my tools, and I'll need to get more emeralds and trade for some more. But Melvin, he is into mending because he really cares about, keeping things out of the landfill, reusing, and making sure that things last as long as possible. If something is on the verge of breaking, rather than just toss it out, he wants to recycle it and continue using it. And so that is his philosophy on life, and that is why he sells mending books, to teach everyone how they can extend the lives of their items rather than just using them until they end up in a landfill. So, Melvin, we appreciate your service. And also, does anyone know if they recently changed the game so that... Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. So that villagers can now walk over sweetberry bushes with carpet? Because for a long time, this was kind of a barrier, like a barricade that would stop mobs. But I noticed earlier, Melvin walked right over this without a care in the world. And if that is the case, that's going to pose some problems, because in most of my builds, I've been using this as kind of the method for keeping the villagers in and keeping the mobs out. So if Minecraft recently changed that, that might be a bit of a problem for me. And one final thing before I wrap up the episode, I actually sent a message to Eligrieve, who inspired this helical wind turbine. I just wanted to reach out and say, hey, your build inspired me, and I'm going to be using this in my upcoming video. And he made a suggestion for all of the glazed terracotta to angle them so that they're all kind of facing the same direction. And I was a little hesitant because trying to get terracotta to face the way you want can sometimes be a huge pain, but I decided to just go ahead and do it. I hopped on my happy guest, and luckily it wasn't as much of a painstaking process as I thought. So it only took me a short little bit. I was able to get those all arranged, and I do agree it does look much better with those all facing the same direction. So thank you for suggesting that, Eligrieve, and I do think it looks much better, so thank you for that suggestion. And I think that'll do it for this episode. I did just realize that it appears I lost my Silk Touch pickaxe at some point during this build. I'm guessing maybe when I died, I dropped it and forgot to pick it back up. So I will have to re-enchant another Silk Touch pickaxe. And between episodes, I guess I'll also be applying mending to some of my tools, and I'll need to figure out a way to get some XP. But other than that, I'm really excited about this recycling center and all of the future expansions that I'm going to be putting on the recycling center. So I hope you'll join me in the next episode. And if you like this episode, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who took the time to watch, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.